The Chair recognises the Honourable Member for the District of Harbour Grace Portagrave.
Well, thank you very much. This is actually my very first time to rise in this honourable House. Not my maiden speech, obviously, but my first time nonetheless. I would like to congratulate each and every one of you. I've admired you all for a long time because, as you know, this takes a lot of dedication and determination, and of course we're working for the people. So thank you very much for that, and I'm glad to be among each and every one of you, and I look forward to working with you all, of course, and the members on the opposite side of the House as well. So also want to extend thanks now to people of my district of Harbour Grace Portagrave, formerly known as the Portagrave District, but due to the abrupt boundary changes that we've endured, of course, in the past year, we've become Harbour Grace Portagrave, and I have about 15,000 constituents. It's ironic, too, that Harbour Grace should be grouped in with Portagrave because I have a big history in the town of Harbour Grace. I went to school there in what was the old St. Columba's Catholic school in Harbour Grace, so I have a lot of great connections, a lot of wonderful friends, and of course it is geographically located. You know, we're all under that same umbrella. Also at this time, I can't help but reflect on the time that I was a candidate, and there are people here in this room who can also attest to that. Some of us have been candidates since 2014 and had to go through the process again. So congratulations to everybody who is here. It's hard to be up here and not reflect upon our fiscal situation, obviously. And I'm not a believer in a blame game or finger pointing and whatnot, but there was an awful lot of money that was mismanaged in the billions, to the tune of billions, as we know. And back to my journalism days, I remember that infamous Bill 29. You guys all remember Bill 29? That one, I remember watching the longest filibuster in the history, I think, of Newfoundland and Labrador for that one, right? Bill 29. I stand to be corrected. But fortunately, that bill was revoked, which cost taxpayers about $1 million a game, from what I understand. $1 million? Yeah, right. You know, and then of course we can't not talk about the Humber Valley paving contract forgiveness either. But ultimately, I want to talk about something closer to home, near and dear to my heart and to many constituents in my district. The district of Harbour Grace Portagrave consists of Portagrave, Berrineed, Coley's Point, Bay Roberts, Shearstown, Butlerville, Country Road, Bay Roberts East End, Spaniards Bay, Tilton, Upper Island Cove, Bishop's Cove, Bryan's Cove, Bryan's Cove, Southside Harbour Grace Riverhead. But in particular, there is an infrastructure, a very aging infrastructure, which I'm sure my colleagues on the other side of the House are quite aware of, Coley's Point Primary School, because I know that's been an ongoing issue for some time. As a matter of fact, in the 3 past provincial budgets, and I've been paying close attention to this as it hits home to me, there was monies allocated for the replacement, of course, of Coley's Point Primary School. Now, a bit of a history lesson on the building itself. It is 60 years plus. There are just under 400 students attending from K to 3. And this school services kids and families from the Portagrave community, Berrineed, Coley's Point, Bay Roberts, Shearstown, Butlerville. There's some from Clark's Beach, and the neighbouring district, of course, of Harbour, Maine, even come down to this school. And unfortunately, this has been ongoing. I can remember back in the time of the Honourable Roland Butler, this was something that was important to him, and that was quite some time ago when Roland served here in the House. But back then, Coley's Point Primary was an issue, and today, unfortunately, it is still a big issue in my district. Big issue in my district. On the campaign trail, it's definitely a #1 priority. You know, parents are concerned about the aging infrastructure. I've spent time over in the school myself for family literacy day. I've had the pleasure of going and spending time with my young friends, reading to them. So I've been around, I've been down those corridors. I've been to the gym. Unfortunately, this school doesn't have a cafeteria. So they're using makeshift classrooms and multi-purpose rooms for different tasks and whatnot. And again, that student population is bursting at about 400. And as we know, Bay Roberts, Harbour Grace area, we have an actual expanding population there. Just down the road, we have the Long Harbour project, the Bull Arm project, Come by Chance, of course. That's right, the neighboring strong districts, of course, of Placentia, Bellevue. Right, that's right, yeah. So it's something, right, that's perfect, and we're all working together, that's right. I believe in teamwork, and I see my district as a team. And having said that, I also want to reflect on the budget consultation. We've been criticized for that, for going to the people, but ultimately, we cannot lead if we don't listen. It's important, I mean, and that's what it's all about. My job as a journalist was to listen to people, to report the facts, and in that regard, I believe politics is no different. We are accountable to tell the truth, to report the facts and whatnot, and to work with people and to communicate. And I will say that I had representation from every community in my district that came to that budget consultation. Not once did I didn't get any negative feedback on why we were taking the time to do it or whatnot. And it's certainly not an expensive process. As a matter of fact, I was efficient enough to, of course, have the space for free, rent-free, in the district. It was held at the Spaniards Bay Legion. Of course, they're good citizens. And as I said, there was a lot of representation there with wonderful ideas, which I know this government and our finance minister, our premier, will take into consideration and hear the concerns and the suggestions that the people of Newfoundland and Labrador took the time to come out, of course, and give these suggestions. They cared enough to come out. And I mean, and how we done it too, we did it kind of like in a school group type thing, where we broke off into groups. And there were group discussions and answers, and then following toward the end of the session, I had everyone invited them to come up and express their concerns to the group as a whole. So I certainly applaud that. I believe in town hall meetings. Again, it's important to listen to our people. I'm honored to be the representative here for the district of Harbour Grace Portagrave, and I'm actually the very first female MHA to represent the district, and it is the first time for Harbour Grace Portagrave. Yeah. So having said that, again, I look forward to standing up again and talking about issues in my district, but Coley's Point Primary, it certainly is a big one. If it's located there on Sod Lane, as you make your way over by the causeway, the Klondike there, you're probably familiar, of course, with the area. Bay Roberts is one of the largest towns on the Avalon Peninsula, and I'm very proud of Bay Roberts, as I am Harbour Grace. Wonderful projects to talk about as well in Harbour Grace, what's known as the Marine Industrial Park, rather, that they want to expand. They have a really ambitious group, Harbour Grace Ocean Enterprise, and it's going to be companies like these which we're going to be looking to help diversify our economy and get our economy back on track. And Harbour Grace Ocean Enterprise, what they do, they're a shipbuilding and repairing company and whatnot, and they have vessels that they're working on from overseas, from the United States, from Europe. Some of my honourable colleagues have been out and had a tour of the facility, as some members of the opposition, I understand, also made a tour. And I might add, too, Harbour Grace is famous for a couple of reasons. Amelia Earhart landed in Harbour Grace. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the very first Newfoundlander to bring home the Stanley Cup, Danny Cleary, comes from Riverhead, Harbour Grace. I know Danny personally. His sister was a good friend of mine growing up. And also, we cannot forget Jamie Korab, who was our Olympic gold medalist. So I'm very proud of this district. And the Kyle, when you're coming in, it's one of the first things that you see as you fly into land in St. John's, is you do see the Kyle. You can see the Kyle when you're flying into St. John's. That's right. So again, very proud of the people of Harbour Grace Portagrave District. A lot of wonderful things happening, a lot of great, strong community spirit throughout the entire district. Upper Island Cove as well, a beautiful community with a lot of community spirit. And again, but Coley's Point Primary, I cannot stress enough that this is something that should have been done a long time before now. It's very important to the constituents of my district, I know, and I'm going to continue working with them, of course, the school councils, the local staff and whatnot, So this is my time winding down. It was an honor to stand here. I look forward to doing it again, and congratulations to each and every one of you. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.